In just a few weeks, we will be leaving the United States on a one-way ticket to Southeast Asia. We have always dreamed of traveling, but really the number one thing holding us back is figuring out how to be able to afford to travel, especially as a low-income family. We've had bills to pay, we have had jobs that we've had to go to, and over the past few years, we have really set ourselves up to be able to make this dream a reality. So we want to explain the changes that we have made in order to make this happen, because if we can do it, then you can do it too.
Yeah, this definitely wasn't easy. This isn't one of those things where you skip to the good part. It was a lot of work, and it's really frustrating, and it has taken a really long time to reach this point. I feel like I've been researching deeply Southeast Asia for, I don't know, a good
8 years probably.
8 years. So, I mean, it did help us be more planned in like what we're going to do and like what we really want to do versus what society says we should do. But it has been a process that has taken a really long time.
So the first thing that we did to get all this set up was to lower our monthly expenses. Most people have a mortgage, they have car payments, they have debt payments. The average American has over $4,100 a month just in debt payments. And if you can get rid of all of those payments and have $4,100 to go travel on, then that would be incredible, right?
It is a lot of work to cut down your bills, and it also is a lot of sacrifice, you know? Like, a lot of people are like, I could never do that. Like, we lived in a camper without running water and electricity, but give and take here, everything comes at a cost, and it was the cost we were willing to pay in order to get to go on an adventure of a lifetime.
Yeah, so this past year we lived super frugally to be able to save money and really make this happen. A couple years ago, we sold our house. We have gotten completely out of debt. We never really were in a whole lot of debt to begin with. We don't have a car payment. We have cars that we've paid cash for. We don't have any debt that we're having to pay. But getting rid of the house was really the biggie that most people have a mortgage. So if you are wanting to travel, like, think about selling your house if you have one, or, you know, if you're renting, you can just get rid of that rent payment while you're not here anymore.
Yeah, or I mean, in the best case scenario, if you can pay someone to manage it, you could actually rent out your property, and that is income while you're leaving. Rental property is some of the best income that you could ever have. And when you go into traveling to other countries, it does become a little bit more complicated, because you're going to have a property manager and all that to deal with tenants and stuff. But it can fund your travels.
And maybe if you have a house that you're not wanting to sell and you want to keep that, then renting it out would be an option for you to make that transition a little bit easier. Or you can just sell it and have that extra money to travel with, put in savings.
There's a lot of factors that go into your decision to rent your house versus sell your house. In the area we were in, which would have been in Florida, our house was paid for, and we chose to sell our house simply because of the insurance companies pulling out of Florida. It was becoming nearly impossible to insure the house. Property values in Florida at this point, which we knew was going to happen, are no longer going up. So it really wasn't super beneficial for us to keep our house in Florida, even if we were able to rent it out. The risk to reward just wasn't there for us. But for someone else, it's a great opportunity to make some money while you travel.
Yeah. So really, if you're wanting to travel, just get rid of as many expenses as you possibly can. And one of the ways that we have done that is through budgeting and being very aware of how much money you have coming in versus how much money you have going out, which is our second tip, is living below your means. No matter how much money you make, you could make very little money, and as long as you are living on less than you're making, less than you're bringing in, then you can have money to put in savings, and that is a great situation to put yourself in.
Sometimes, like, increasing your income versus your expenses is actually really hard to do, and sometimes it's easier to just lower your expenses and decide what's really valuable to you. Because we do not spend money on stuff that is just useless. We don't go out to eat. We don't go buy $7 coffees at Starbucks. Those things do not hold value to us. I can make my own coffee at home and I can cook really well. I don't need a restaurant. There is very few times. There's an occasional restaurant, but there's very few times I've went and ate at a restaurant. I've paid for food and I've not felt like crap afterwards because the food is just greasy, it's unhealthy, and I really could have made something better. And so we choose wisely on just everyday things. And I mean, even our clothes. I've had this hoodie for, I don't know, 6-7 years. It was like $30 maybe on sale. I got it on Black Friday and I have literally kept it forever. It now has bleach stains on it. You know what? It's really comfy. I don't care. And I'm not buying a new one because this one's fine. And that is, I would rather go to Thailand or something like that, you know?
Yeah, every decision that you make, every purchase that you make, realize that you're trading your time for that item and just think, is it really worth it? And a lot of the times it is not worth it.
Every little bit counts. In the United States, this hoodie is $30, whatever I paid for it. In Southeast Asia, your hotel room is $30 for a night. So option A or option B, choose wisely.
The next thing that we really did was we focused on saving money, because having money in savings when you are traveling is going to really be a buffer to make your trip not stressful.
So we have a plan to make money while we're traveling, and we want to live within that budget because we don't like to touch our savings. We have savings. We've saved forever.
We sold a house also. I forgot to turn the heat off.
Savings are so important, and it makes your life much less stressful. We do have a plan, and we do plan to stay within that budget of money that we can make while we're traveling. Our goal, as always, is to never touch our savings unless it is absolutely necessary. We do not spend the money in our savings unless we need it. If you have a hard time saving money, one thing you can do is before you go on your trip, start selling stuff. Break down your stuff that you have that you're not going to be using, and go ahead and put that stuff on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that and get it sold. You can use the junk that you have in your house to fund your savings account. And like, for example, we have our truck. Before we leave, we're going to sell our truck and add that to our savings account. Not that we're not selling our truck because we need it for our savings account. I'm actually selling my truck because of depreciation while I'm gone. But that's completely different issue. But it is going to add a lot of money to our savings. And the more money you have in your savings, the less you have to be worried about running out of money.
Also, this is a side note, if you put the money, if we sell the truck, which is a depreciating asset, and put it into a savings account that is earning compound interest, then that money is not depreciating while we're gone. It is actually, we're earning money on that. So just financially, that was a smarter decision for us. I know a lot of people don't want us to sell our truck, but it is like a financial decision that we are taking very seriously.
Yeah.
The inconvenience of having to buy a new truck when we come back. We're looking at this through an angle of a financial decision and not necessarily a convenience decision.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that play into this. One, leaving a vehicle setting for however long we're gone, the depreciating aspect, the economy. We don't know what's going to happen with the economy, and right now my truck is actually worth quite a bit. And when
more than we paid for it.
Actually, yeah, they're actually still selling for more than we actually paid for it, which is kind of shocking and shows what a good investment that was. But it is a huge concern to leave that truck sitting for long periods of time, and also the economy situation and what that truck's going to be worth when I get back.
So every little thing that you have, especially the bigger items, like really, you have to really think about if it is more valuable sold than if you kept it. That's one of the things, like when you're thinking about selling your house, like a house could be an investment, even if it is just sitting there. especially if you like already own your house outright, that could be a place to sit your money where it is increasing in value and you're earning money on it just through appreciation of that asset. Like, you might not want to sell your house if you don't need the money to travel.
Another option for traveling is, if you should always have a savings, because you never know what's going to go wrong. But as far as traveling, our goal, of course, is to not use our savings and to use money that we're making via remote jobs, like through YouTube, through investments that we have, through our high yield savings accounts. Our goal is to make more money than we spend every month, so we do not have to use our savings.
Yeah, and I'm going to share a little bit more about this as we go through the process, but I hope that, like, especially on YouTube, like if we are able to document our journey and share information with you guys, like we could potentially increase our income even more, and that will continue to fund our trip and our travels as we go. And maybe if we're making more money, our budget can increase a little bit, or just whatever, like that.
We will not increase our budget.
We might do some like, we might have more interesting activities to do. I don't know. You don't think we'll increase our budget?
I don't know.
Maybe a little bit. By increasing our budget a little bit, I might mean like a couple $100 a month, like nothing crazy. So this next one is a little controversial, particularly, I guess some people don't really like using credit cards, but we got the Capital One Venture X travel credit card, and that is really benefiting us on this trip.
The credit card itself comes with like a $395 annual fee. And a lot of people who travel a lot of places don't really share this very much, but they actually usually use a lot of different credit cards, and they do that because they usually have introductory airline miles. So on our Capital One Venture X card, we got like 75,000 miles if you spent like $4,000 in the first, 2 months or so. So we just use this card for all of our bills, everything, and everything of other people we know. So we managed to reach that $4,000, and then just had that to pay it off. And then we got...
You also get a $300...
I was getting there.
Okay.
So we got our 75,000 miles, and we, like she was saying, we got a $300, which you get this every year, a $300 travel credit. So if you are going to travel, your credit card may cost you $395, but you get $300 of that you use to travel every year. So technically you're only paying $95 for the card. And then when you take in account the fact that you get Priority Pass, which lets us into all the lounges because we're foodies. And when you're traveling with 3 people, like we're going to be at like the Denver airport, the Seattle airport, the airport in Taiwan, the airport in Bangkok. So Priority Pass and Capital One lounge access gives us free food and free drinks.
So we're going to like super plan that and pack out food and all of that stuff. The goal is to not really have to buy any food while we are traveling throughout the airport, which we don't like buying food out. So that's really expensive. And that in and of itself probably is going to save us the other $95 minus the $300.
Airport food is so expensive. We went through Atlanta one time, and like the hamburgers or whatever, it was like a vegan burger.
Or something.
It was literally like $14.99 for like one of these like plant-based burgers.
It's just really expensive to eat out anyway. We don't ever eat out, so it's kind of like mind-blowing to us how much food is that's not even that good. So
and we were in Atlanta. Like, I cannot imagine Denver and Seattle. They're not exactly cheap areas, and Denver is like one of the biggest airports in the United States, if not the biggest one. I don't want to pay for the food that they have there. I'll just go to the lounge. It's fine.
So the thing with the credit card is definitely don't use credit cards if you are not going to be able to pay them off every month, because interest is ridiculous on the credit cards. So we only we have a credit card that we know we'll be able to pay off. We only put money on there that's already in our savings account. So we never would spend money that we wouldn't be able to pay off immediately. So you can have credit cards responsibly. I know a lot of people don't like to have credit cards, but if you are going to travel, you know, for us, that is one way that we are able to save money on this trip.
And credit cards do provide a lot of safety buffer. Like our Capital One credit card does provide us with a lot of travel protections. When we already messed up a flight. Well, we didn't mess it up. They moved of a flight back a day, and then it moved it on top of another flight. And I just went to Capital One's. I tried to cancel it through the airline. Didn't work. I just went to Capital One.
You called them and they were like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. But they still didn't fix it.
I was over here just like, what do you mean it'll be okay? Because this is not the way that Americans handle this. But I'm over here talking to like these Turkish people, and they're like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm like, no, I'm having an absolute meltdown right now, and I'm trying so hard to realize that this is a cultural thing, and they're just not going to do what I say immediately. So I wound up canceling it through Capital One. It was super easy. It was like 2 clicks. So I like the luxury of being able to go through the credit card. They also offer us cell phone protection for paying with our cell phones, like our cell phones are covered, stuff like that. Baggage protection, you know, if our luggage was to get lost, there's flight cancellation protection. And if we book anything through them, which we get more points if we do, I'm not saying you should necessarily use a credit card company to book, because their travel portal's just we did use it, but that's because I found the flight somewhere else. But it does add protections for connections, and if your flight's delayed or cancellations, stuff like that, they actually give us money for that. There is a lot of benefits to using a credit card. They're also really easy to shut down. Like when my kid stole my wallet and I didn't know they got it, because, you know, we just thought they were in a corner pooping, and they were not. They had my wallet. They emptied my wallet. Then they put the wallet back. So then I thought that I lost all of my credit cards and everything. And it was really easy to just go and click a button and lock them all.
And then 15 minutes later, we found all the cards and we were able to unlock all the cards.
Yeah. So it was an easy to deal with kind of thing. And I'm pro credit cards for that reason. Another reason is you should have a savings, and you should not need to do this. But in the event that something went terribly, terribly wrong, credit cards provide you a savings account that you're paying back with a load of interest.
With a little safety net in an extreme emergency.
Yeah, you never know what can happen, and having a credit card with several thousand dollars that, you know, in an emergency you can use is beneficial, even if you pay a huge consequence for it. Sometimes, I mean, it's better than nothing.
And then another thing is we just, like, in general, live a really simple life. Our needs are really low. Our, what's the word I'm looking for? Maintenance. We're super low maintenance people. Asher's a little higher maintenance than I am, if you want me to be honest. But we just don't need a lot of stuff. So when we travel, we are going to be able to travel really light. We are not checking a bag. We are taking a backpack. Each person is taking a backpack, and we have one rolly carry-on. And so everything that we need is going to fit into these small bags. So that'll save money on the flights as far as checked bags. It's going to make going from point A to point B really easy. And, you know, anything that we forget or realize that we need, we can just purchase while we're over there at a fraction of the price.
It's really hard because we have done a lot of research, and we always look up budget travel, how to travel lightly, what is everybody else taking. I want you to know.
Not apply to us.
We are on a whole different page. Like, we even question if we need the rolling carry-on situation, because my backpack's really big, her backpack's really big. We're kind of like, do we really need this? Other people, they take, even when they say that they're light traveling, when they mean light traveling, they've got a checked bag, a carry-on bag, 2 personal items that they're hiding one of them.
And I think like this is something that we have worked on over time, because like even when we used to travel from Knoxville to Florida on Allegiant, and we would go to like Orlando for a week, and we traveled with a backpack, a personal item backpack that fit under the seat. We didn't even take a carry-on or anything. Like that is how light we have traveled in the past. And so it's just normal to us. I actually feel like we're getting to take a lot of stuff because we're now taking a carry-on. We do have a toddler now, so that makes it a little bit more
So our cheap
complicated.
flats require us to pay for the carry-on. Like Allegiant and Frontier, they require you to pay for the carry-on. But the international flights, the carry-on's free. Actually, our international flight comes with free carry-ons and a free carry-on and 2 checked bags if we wanted to take 2 checked bags. Although I would never want to carry around that much stuff with me. That just seems really complicated. And those get lost all the time, and I don't want my stuff to get lost.
Yeah, I mean, that
gives
is,
me anxiety
besides
just
the
thinking
money
about it.
thing, I don't want to I think that we when we moved from Florida back up to Tennessee, we checked a bag, and that was really stressful. And we checked the bag because we had a baby and a dog with us. So we
And
didn't.
the cat.
No, we
Did we
didn't.
not-
No,
did we not
because
bring
you
her?
had drove the cat up before.
Oh, I did drive her up first. Yeah.
So we moved, Asher moved a whole car full of stuff. Like we moved, listen, we have done this minimalist downsizing thing a couple times. And we left Florida, when we sold our house in Florida, we had a little Toyota Corolla, and everything that we kept fit inside of that car, including a cat that Asher drove up to Tennessee to leave with his mom before he flew back to pick us up. And then the rest, all the humans, flew back to Tennessee.
My mom is still mad that I left that cat at her house. My
For
mom
like a
doesn't like
week.
cats, and she was not nice. Like, I mean, she's nice to us, but I was like, it's fine, Mom. She's really sweet. No, she was not. She hid in one room, and it was insane. She tried to claw my mother.
I am surprised that she was so mad about that. But anyway.
She was traumatized that I left her up there. It's okay. She survived. My mom will never watch that cat ever again.
She is pretty feral. This is Glitch, by the way, for those of you who know our animals. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to be doing more slow traveling instead of like getting from point A to point B and just trying to see as much stuff. We're going to spend time in a place, and in doing so, you have less travel costs as far as like, like getting on planes, trains, and automobiles, whatever it is you have to get from point A to point B. And then a lot of times there's discounts in places. Like we might rent somewhere for an entire month at some point when we get tired of traveling too much, and we will really save a lot of money on a monthly rental versus, doing it by the day.
Yeah, I mean, once we get to where we're going, we have a toddler. We kind of have to slow travel a little bit anyway. I don't want to. It's hard. There's going to be days where our kid doesn't get up and want to do the adventure that we want to do, and it may not work out the way that we plan. Our travel to Southeast Asia is going to be the world's slowest travel, and that is not saving us money. That's actually costing us more money, but it's saving our sanity, which is way more important. We are not luxury people. We have only flown on budget airlines. We have economy seats on everything. You know why? Because economy on an international flight for us, who's been basically on Allegiant, who like has so little space, is going to be
like basically business class.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty big for
our
us.
viewpoint.
It's kind of going to be a joke.
We get a TV. Like Allegiant doesn't have TVs. We get to watch movies, and we get a free carry-on. So I think we're going to be like,
we will survive.
When your standards are down here, like everything is luxury at that point.
Yeah, so I mean, we're not really spending any extra on the plane and making it easier on us on the plane, but we are staying multiple places as we travel.
But I will go over like exactly our itinerary as we get closer, like once we like officially have everything like booked and figured out. And
hopefully the airline doesn't move it again.
Yeah. And also, we're going to vlog that whole adventure. Asher is going to start his own channel, and that adventure will probably be over there. It'll be more of a vlogging adventure. So anyway, the next thing that we have done that is saving us a lot of money is planning and researching. So much planning and researching. Like I said, we started this maybe 8 years ago, and like as time has progressed, we've gotten more and more and more detailed about all the planning and research about where to stay. We have spent hours looking at flights. That's kind of like the first part of our trip, and finding affordable flights, how to do that, where to stay when we get there, what country to go to in general that is going to be the most affordable for us. That's kind of one reason why we chose Southeast Asia, is because that is a very, very affordable area. And there's a lot of countries over there that we can visit once we get over there. The flight over there is, kind of expensive. We have done as much as we can to save money on that flight. But then once we get over there, we can travel around. Transportation's real cheap. Accommodations are really cheap. Food is super cheap.
You can go to Southeast Asia and you can have absolute luxury that you could never afford in the United States. Like, you could stay in a 5-star hotel, have infinity pools, and people wait on you hand and foot, for a couple $100 a night, which is basically what a hotel in the United States costs for the bare minimum, which we're going to do a comparison on this, because we're going to buy hotels as we're going over. We're going to be staying in some hotels, and then we're going to go and rent a hotel. We're going to get a hotel one night in like Bangkok that is equal price, and show you guys like the difference in what you get. Because I've been looking at a lot of hotels, and we can afford, even within our budget, to stay in hotels in Southeast Asia we could never even walk into in the United States.
The cheapest hotel here that we can really find, like around the airport that we're staying, is what, like $120 a night for a hotel? Or is it
Are you talking about Denver?
Yeah, in Denver. How much was
I
that?
think it was $140.
Okay, $140. So we are going to find a $140 hotel over in Bangkok, which is going to be like super luxury. And we're going to compare the two about like how far $140 goes in both places. To
put that in perspective, our average budget for like what we're actually looking for, like top end for hotels, and this is like to get a really nice hotel, is like $50 a night.
Yeah.
That you can find.
When we go down to the islands of Thailand, there are places that our main requirement is air conditioning. Other than that, we're pretty cool with whatever. But you can get like a beach hut with air conditioning for $12 a night. Like, it is super exciting. On the beach. Like,
yeah, like where you like literally walk out and you're like
on the beach. And there's like,
in the United States, even with just air conditioning on the beach, $100.
$100? No.
Maybe.
No, way more than that. Way more than that. Like, if we were to rent a house, you can't find a hut on the beach, first of all.
Yeah, it's uncomparable.
If you were to rent a hotel on the beach, okay. Like in Daytona, like we used to live in Daytona, like what's the minimum on the beach? Like $200+ for a crappy hotel room, right?
Remember that hotel room we got in Daytona Beach, and it looked like American Horror Story?
Oh God, yeah.
It was so bad, and it was shut down, like it was condemned.
It did end up being condemned. It was like,
it should have been condemned.
Smelled.
We
shouldn't have stayed there. That was the only.
I was so tired though.
Yeah, we had already booked it, and we didn't want to have to leave and go somewhere else. But
I have low standards, but I am someone who takes all the bed covers off and everything else, and deeply looks for like bed bugs and everything else. And she's like, "You're over concerned," and I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah, that was the worst place we've ever stayed.
Yeah, it was really bad.
And so not worth the price.
Yeah, it was still well over $100. So that's one of the top things, is have low standards. And we would love a beach hut for $10, $12 a night with just air conditioning. I don't want to sit inside of the little hut. I want to have air conditioning for when I go to bed, and then I want to lay out on the beach and go on adventures.
My next little notes was affordable locations, which I feel like we just talked about. So finding affordable locations. And the next thing was affordable activities. There are so many free things that you can do and super low cost things. Like you don't have to go and do these crazy expensive things when you're on your trip. Like just going to a lot of the temples are free, going to the night markets and walking around, just hanging out at the beach.
Malls
Yeah.
are a big thing in Southeast Asia. Like in America, all of our malls are dead, like in the US, but like they have so many malls.
Indoor playgrounds for kids.
Yeah. The malls are an experience. One of their malls, each floor is a different, based upon a different location. I think they have a floor for like San Francisco and stuff like that. And it's literally an experience, and it's really hot there. So like they do a lot of indoor stuff, and there's a lot of rooftop like bars and stuff like that. That are not like, it's a completely different experience because it's affordable. It's not like all that expensive to have these experiences there.
Yeah, just focus on doing the free things because like you're going to a whole different country and a whole different culture. So even just walking down the street is a cool experience. Going to their local parks, hiking, national parks, just being immersed in that culture is just enough of an experience. And then occasionally you can sprinkle in some like more splurgy type activities. Like we do want to go when we're up in Chiang Mai and sleep in an elephant sanctuary and be able to wake up. That's what Ashley's going to do on his birthday, is we're going to wake up in an elephant sanctuary with rescue elephants. And, I want to go on some boat trips and on like long boats and go island hopping. And that's going to cost a little bit of money, not a ton of money, way less than if you were to do that in the US.
I'm going to say like a longboat trip between islands is probably like, I don't know, maybe $6, something like that.
Oh, is it just $6?
I don't think
like
it's
$30
very
or $40.
No, not well, if you do an all-day tour, maybe.
Okay.
And then also like maybe it's because we don't come from this. We're really excited to ride. They have trains.
Even the transportation
Their
options.
public transportation. Listen, they have trains. They have sky trains that you can ride through like Bangkok. They have boats.
We've never been on a subway before.
They have a subway. Never been on there was remember that really cool train that was in the Atlanta airport, the little underground thing that I loved so much.
I didn't like it.
That's because that's where we are in our life. And they have boats that go up like near like Bangkok. There's like the river, and there's boats that when people ride these as transportation, there's multiple stops, and you can jump on and off and like go to different areas of Bangkok just by riding this really cool boat. I'm really just excited to ride the boat.
Even riding a ferry, like we're when we are traveling throughout the country, going from point A to point B, we're kind of picking like different options. Like riding a ferry boat is something that I've done that as a kid, like when we went to stay at the beach, but like that's not something that we usually do. Is riding a ferry boat is an experience. When we travel up to Chiang Mai in Thailand, we're gonna do the sleeper night train. Literally just sleeping on a train at night is such a cool experience. When we go to Vietnam, we want to ride on a sleeper bus. Not really. We're gonna take it during the day.
There's like VIP sleeper buses, but we want to do it during the day because there's
beautiful
scenery.
Yeah, just doing basic stuff like that is so cheap and so inexpensive. Appreciating the little things. You don't have to go and do some crazy adventure while
it's about the journey.
Yeah, I think
it's all an adventure. And the best part of it is experiencing every little bit of it for what it is. And even when it goes wrong, which it will go terribly wrong.
I know it's going to go wrong every day. We're going to make so many mistakes.
Yeah. And it's about being positive and realizing it's still the best experience of our life. And it's still worth everything to us to do it. Even if the whole entire day is wrong,
Yeah. As long as we have food and somewhere to sleep, like it'll be okay.
Which really the biggest issue with us having somewhere to sleep, we have a little bit more requirements because we have a toddler.
2-year-old.
Yeah. Because we want our kid to have somewhere to sleep. It's not I don't need somewhere to sleep. I would just stay up and I would work it out. Would it suck? Yeah, but I've totally done that before.
Yeah, if you're a single person or a couple and you don't have kids, like we would stay in, they have hostels there where you can just go and literally like rent a bed. That makes it even more affordable. We're not in a station like
$5-6. You could
yeah.
easily get a bed. And Thailand in particular is extremely safe, and there's not like a lot of theft or anything like that. It is a really safe area, and so it's not even unsafe for you to do this. Like walking down the street in the middle of the night, like it's not really a thing there. Nothing like that happens. You don't have to be scared of stuff like that. And if you don't have a kid, you literally could backpack through Southeast Asia for nothing.
Yeah, a lot of our decisions are being made because we have a 2-year-old, and a lot of even the activities that we're doing, we're going to be spending, I think, more money than if we didn't have a kid. Definitely we will. Even that, we're still not spending that much money, I don't think.
Yeah, some of our choices have to be dictated a little bit because the kids. So a lot of places over there, a lot of people ride like little scooters, like little motorbikes, stuff like that, which seems like fun. I would love to do that. But I'm not going to put my 2-year-old on a motorbike.
And even like just renting Grabs, which is like Ubers, like we don't have a car seat over there. And car seats are not required or really a thing over there, but traffic's really bad and there's a lot of wrecks. So we have to make decisions that, you know, we can't really just rent a car. We have to.
In the city, we definitely won't be renting a car because of the wreck rate in Bangkok and stuff is really high. On the islands and stuff where it's a much calmer environment, we would probably rent a car to get from like one side or the other. But for the most part, it's going to be more of a slow pace, kind of on our feet kind of way that we travel, or public transport that doesn't, you know.
And we still have a lot of stuff to figure out, and we will share all of that with you guys as we go. We're going to do a complete budget breakdown of exactly our tentative budget before we leave. And then every month or every place we stay or every so often, we're going to share like exactly how much we've ended up spending. You know, what is it? Ideas versus reality. Expectations versus reality is sometimes a little bit different. So we're going to share exactly how much we ended up spending.
Our goal is to have 2 channels, one of which shares more like her channel to share more of the budget aspect of it and make sure that we have a breakdown of like what we spent versus, you know, what we expected to spend.
And just some cool stuff like how much does it actually cost to go to a market and get some food, or even going to the grocery store, or, you know, accommodations. How much do those like realistically are going to cost you? I just feel like that would be really interesting.
Mine is more about the actual experience. It's more of sharing our experience and like what we actually did.
So I know a lot of you guys have said that you guys have traveled. So if you have any tips or tricks on traveling on a budget, leave them down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.